Before we get started, you know domaintools.com, right? I can type whois.sc/domain name really fast, and I do it daily, but until recently, I didn't know how powerful their other tools were. If I want a domain name, I can set a free alert to notify me when it changes status. If it goes to auction, I can use their sales history tool to find comps and determine my maximum bid price. If I buy it and develop the domain name into a business, I can set up alerts for any domains registered that contain my trademark. And I can set up registrant alerts of all my competitors so I can keep an eye on what domains they're buying and know what they're up to before they make any announcements. Domaintools.com needs to be in your toolbox like it's in mine. Go sign up for an account on domaintools.com today. My second sponsor is David E. Westlow at Wiley Ryan. Imagine having a legal issue like a UDRP or a cease and desist. Imagine having to get an agreement put together quickly for buying or selling a domain name. And imagine going to your family lawyer who just doesn't get it, or one of the expensive law firms in your city who are going to invoice you for thousands upon thousands of dollars. Then imagine going to David E. Westlow, who will understand your domain name portfolio and your intellectual property assets, understand the domain name environment, and be able to help you out quickly. David E. Westlow. I recommend him. I trust him. I suggest you give him a call. Your initial consultation is free. David E. Westlow at Wiley Ryan. Finally, our newest sponsor is Protrata, the domain exchange. Protrata is an amazing new platform for professional domainers and newcomers alike. Protrata makes trading domain names easy. With just a few clicks, you can analyze, bid, buy, and sell domains across all of the major marketplaces, including Namejet, GoDaddy, SnapNames, and Craigslist. You can also develop stagnating domains you own into great-looking, content-rich, socially active websites that will rank at Google and Bing. This tool is more comprehensive than any other I've seen. If you only use it for its 21 powerful buying filters, you'll get your money's worth. Get your free 14-day trial now at protrata.com. protrada.com. Here's your program. Hey everyone, my name is Michael Seiger and I'm the publisher of DomainSherpa.com, the domain name authority and the place where you can learn about how to become a successful domain name entrepreneur directly from the experts themselves. Everyone talks about domain names, dropping, grabbing, flipping, holding, building, but what if you just want to make some money off the domain names you own or are planning on buying? Joining me is Troy Rushton. He's the founder of Winged Media, a collection of online software solutions that together leverage the full value of domain assets for professional domainers, traditional investors, and those just beginning to get involved in the domain name trading and development areas. Troy started 4 companies, 3 of which he has successfully sold to larger companies for millions. He's on his 4th now, which we're going to talk about today. I invited him here to talk about his current venture, Protrata, the entrepreneurial success he's achieved, mistakes he's made along the way, and what you can learn from his internet expertise. Troy, welcome.
Thank you, Michael. How are you?
Great. It's great to have you.
Great to be here. Thank you.
I want to start off today's show with a disclosure. So Troy, bear with me. Troy's company, Winged Media, and their software product, Protrata, are sponsors of the Domain Sherpa Show. I didn't ask Troy to come on the show because of this. When he signed up to sponsor Domain Sherpa, it was because of our content, what we're delivering to the community to educate people about domain names, not a promise of a featured interview. Instead, I asked Troy to come on the show today because he's an innovative entrepreneur who has a long history of internet success. While I do think that Protrata is a service that you should sign up for and try out, because I believe it goes beyond any other software products I've seen in the marketplace. Today's show is going to focus on Troy, what you can learn from him, not be a sales pitch for his product. All right, that's out of the way. Troy, I like to start off the show with a little background on the guest. One of the most interesting things I found about you was not the businesses you've started and sold in the past, not your hustle in sales, not your prowess in internet startups. It was that you were named one of the 40 most influential men by Australia's Men's Style magazine back in late 2009, early 2010. Most influential Men's Style magazine. Tell me about that.
That was an interesting experience, Michael. I went to the dinner, and at the dinner they partner up all the men with other female people just to sort of get the conversation flowing. And I was actually quite interested when I was there. A lot of people were very well-known celebrities. And there I was in the middle as a little bit of a geek, if you like, in amongst all the celebrity and the glamour of these sort of events. I spent some time in the Murdoch magazine business, so I sort of had an understanding of how the magazine events went along, and it was quite an experience. It was great to be part of that. I was very proud.
So wait a second, Men's Style magazine in Australia, it probably has a wide distribution, like a similar magazine here in the U.S. does. They said, Troy, we think you're influential. Will you please come and have dinner with us?
Yeah, effectively, yeah. So it was the whole ceremony.
Was that a lead-in to actually being named one of the 40 most?
Yeah, well, actually, the dinner was post being named. So I got the phone call. I thought it was one of my friends playing a prank, a bit of a prankster, Michael. So anyway, it then turned out to be correct, and the photographer turned up, and next you know, there I was in print with all the other real celebrities.
Wow.
So I was actually interested. I think some of our work in influential sort of social media, and we've done a bit of commentary, a few seminars to talk to people about stuff. Right. And obviously, I bubbled up in Australia, and obviously we're a much smaller market than the States. But certainly proud to be named in that group.
Definitely. So what they said about you in the magazine had to do with your internet skills, your social media skills. They looked at you as an up-and-comer on the internet. Yeah.
I think, again, Australia being a smaller sort of community base, I mean, a lot of Australian internet marketers are looking to the States as I have for a long time. So when you're asked about comment, you sort of comment here of the Australian market, but it's typically about, innovating more broadly and more globally. So I think to that end, they recognise that as being someone of influence, and they fitted me in.
Awesome. So you didn't have to get in your underwear and do a photo shoot in an awkward position or anything?
Thankfully not, Michael, because there's a lot of hot-looking celebrity stars that I have to sit alongside, some real celebrities. So, Timmy Cahill and some of the leading Australian soccer players were there. So I'm certainly glad it was collar and tie.
All right, good. All right, let's take a step back and talk about domain names.
Yeah.
How many domain names do you personally own, and in what TLDs do they shake out, roughly?
Well, answer the second part first. Mainly comms, nets, and orgs. Mm-hmm. Even being in Australia, we don't typically get involved with the com.aus. Done some German.des. That's predominantly the TLDs. .co's even more recently. Mm-hmm. .me's as well. I think if you look at the number, that moves around because we're trading domains all the time.
No. You personally, not your company. You personally.
Well, most of my domains are in my company now. I mean, I started a company. Put my portfolio in.
Okay.
And it's part of my commitment to my shareholders. I don't trade separately. So
okay. Then for the company, how many roughly do you have?
Probably about 150,000.
Okay.
So of that premium, we're probably closer to 5,000 more premium domains. That being worth more than $500 or $1,000 a piece.
Yeah. What do you think is the most valuable domain name that you own? If you had to throw them all away and could only keep one of them, which one would you keep?
I can only probably put that on. Well, keep one. I'd keep protrata.com. I think that's on Winged Media. I think from a trading standpoint, I mean, most of our domain names, we sort of have a smaller budget. We've gone for more volume and more scale and across more verticals. So, if we had a domain name worth $5 to $10,000, that would be a pretty good outcome. Honestly, we've got so many and we trade them so regularly. I mean, barcoasters.com we sold recently. That was quite a nice little one. These are sort of mid-$5,000 to $10,000 domains.
Yeah.
I couldn't even tell you one specific one, Michael, unfortunately, but there are many.
All right, great. So I want to spend some time on your background, Troy, because I think it's important for entrepreneurs to see how your professional experience has led to your success today. So if I go into my one of my favorite research sites, I go to LinkedIn, I can see that you graduated from college in Australia, a college called Hunter Institute of Technology. You studied accounting and business. Did you always know that you wanted to be an entrepreneur, even heading into college from high school?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think when I go back to when I was young with my brother roaming the streets, knocking on doors, asking to wash cars and pick up leaves. I think we started our entrepreneurial ventures way back then, and that was sort of 12 years old. So it's always been in the blood. I think one of my favorite movies was like Wall Street as a young kid. So I think the aspiration to be an entrepreneur was always there. And my mum actually pushed me into accounting, and she'd been doing that, and it was a natural flow. I'd done some bookkeeping with her, and next thing I was sort of down that path. Yeah,
and you probably dreaded it, but now you're so thankful that you have that accoung background.
Absolutely. I mean, to be honest, I actually loved it. I actually quite liked it, the debits and credits, the black and white. It was all very pure. It was all very predetermined in accounting. So I quite enjoyed that. And then as a CEO, I've been a CEO now for probably the last 15 years of my life. It's helped me to be a CEO with accounting experience. I can do deals, I can read balance sheets, and that puts me ahead of some of my colleagues.
Definitely. And so why did you choose a technology institute when you were studying business and accounting? I don't know the university or colleges in Australia. Is that
no, I don't think it actually reflects. It's not a technology campus as such.
Okay.
They tend to colleges in Australia or technical colleges we call them. We have universities, same as in the States. They just tend to grab a name because it suits a particular focus. It was more geographically based. It was the most closest place for me. So where I live was sort of an hour north of Sydney, and it was the one that was closest to me. So I tended just to flow into that.
Okay. A lot of times people come right out of college. They really don't know what they want to do. They land in a position, and it turns out to be a position that really shapes the way they head in business. Your first position out of college was a business and finance manager at Murdoch Magazines. Is this the Murdoch, Rupert Murdoch?
This is Mr. Rupert Murdoch, yeah. So it's actually just my LinkedIn doesn't quite cover it, but before that, I actually come straight out and went into a chartered accounting firm.
Oh, okay.
So I was there for 12 months, and then I worked with a group called Scholastic. You guys in the States would know Scholastic. They're a large children's publisher. So they've got a pretty good business here in Australia. So I spent probably 5 years with them before joining the Murdochs. And so it was Rupert's actual nephew was the owner of the Murdoch brand here in Australia.
Mm-hmm. And so what did you learn at Murdoch Magazines that you look back on and say that really helped set me up as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I think when you get in these big organisations, they have such a global view. I mean, obviously Scholastic did also, but we were very Australian focused, versus Murdoch, where we constantly looked abroad to Germany or the States as to how we would distribute product. So I think I learned a lot about, boardroom skirmishes and how to deal with, at the time I was sort of very early 20s. So I was dealing with people with far more education and experience than myself. So I think they really taught me how to navigate the boardroom, which was great for later years, how to identify an opportunity and how to, really assess an opportunity. I mean, I think everyone comes up with ideas. And I think when you start to go through the idea motion, you start to see, well, I might like it, and so my 6 friends, but will this scale? Will this grow? Is there a business here? And I think with Murdoch experience, I learned a lot about that through that process. We're obviously looking at books a lot and magazine opportunities, and constantly having to assess, will this grow? Beyond our immediate sphere. So having the courage to say no, equally having the courage to say yes, and I think it's quite good. And also keep your costs quite tight. I think they're all the things. It's very easy to get lavish on cost and go quite hard quite early. But I think for us, it was about, trying to monetize as early as you possibly could in the development process.
Yeah. And so Murdoch Magazines, were they traditionally focused on business to business to consumer? Were they children's? Were they books? Were they just magazines or periodicals? How did it shake out, and what titles?
The magazine business was the predominant business, but it had a much larger book publishing business, which I eventually ended up based on my Scholastic experience. But the magazines, a lot of mastheads out of the States, Marie Claire, Men's Health, Better Homes and Garden. They had a half a dozen really strong titles here in Australia.
Yeah.
In addition to that, they had a nice internet business that was starting to emerge. Mm-hmm. So I got involved with that, and that was my first foray, if you like, into the internet. Again, Australia sort of typically lags a little bit on the States, but that business gave me a great insight. And this is back late 99, early 2000. I was able to sort of see inside, internet as a business opportunity. So that, with the magazines, with the books, is basically the magazine business there at Murdoch.
Great. So you left Murdoch Magazines and you started your first company, which was called GRV Media. What did GRV stand for?
Global Rail Vision. So I come, as I said, I come an hour north to Sydney every day and catching the